Trigonometry, Chapter 2, Acute Angles and Right Triangles, Section 1, Trigonometric Functions of Acute Angles, Video 6, Comparing Values of Trig Functions. This series is based on content from Pearson's Trigonometry 12th edition by Lial, Hornsby, Schneider, and Daniels. In the previous video, we determined the behaviors of trig functions as theta increased from 0 degrees to 90 degrees. Specifically, sine increases, cosine decreases, tangent increases, cosecant decreases, secant increases, cotangent decreases. We observed that the cofunctions, cosine, cotangent, and cosecant, were decreasing, while the others were increasing. In this video, we use this behavior to compare values of trig functions. For example, which is greater, sine of 30 degrees or sine of 35 degrees? What do we know about sine in terms of its behavior? Well, sine increases as theta increases in quadrant 1, where theta is acute. This means as theta increases from 30 degrees to 35 degrees, the value of sine should also increase. Therefore, the value of sine of 35 degrees is greater than the value of sine of 30 degrees. So in other words, sine of 30 degrees is less than sine of 35 degrees. If the function is increasing, then bigger inputs produce bigger outputs. If a function is decreasing, then bigger inputs produce smaller outputs. Which is greater, cotangent of 10 degrees or cotangent of 15 degrees? Well, using the same logic, since cotangent is decreasing in quadrant 1, the value of cotangent of 15 degrees should be less than the value of cotangent of 10 degrees. In other words, the value of cotangent of 10 degrees is greater than cotangent of 15 degrees because being a decreasing function, as the inputs get larger, the outputs get smaller. And one more. Which is greater, secant of 20 degrees or cosecant of 25 degrees? This one's a little trickier, but not insurmountable. It's different because we're not comparing the same trig functions, but we can rewrite one of them. But can we rewrite one of them in terms of the other? You may have noticed that these are cofunctions. That's something we can capitalize on. Since secant and cosecant are cofunctions, we can use a cofunction identity to write one in terms of the other. Let's rewrite cosecant in terms of secant. Cosecant of 25 degrees is equal to the cofunction of it, secant, of the complement, 90 minus 25. In other words, secant of 65 degrees. Cosecant of 25 degrees equals cosecant of 65 degrees. We can now restate the question, which is greater, secant of 20 degrees or secant of 65 degrees? Is secant increasing or decreasing? Since secant is increasing in quadrant 1, then secant of 65 degrees is greater than secant of 20 degrees. Thus, cosecant of 25 degrees is greater than secant of 20 degrees. In other words, secant of 20 degrees is less than cosecant of 25 degrees. Thank you, cofunction identities. Now you try. Pause the video and try the following. Determine which of the two values is greater. On number 1, we're comparing two cosines. On number 2, we're comparing two cosecants. And on number 3, we're comparing a tangent and a cotangent. Pause the video, give it a try. All right, here's your fair warning if you haven't paused the video yet. Solutions in 3, 2, 1.